Hi James, this is my demonstration for the driving school assignment. As you can see from here, this is our main home page. The home page itself displays the details of each branch as well as the manager linked to those branches. If we have a look at the coding, you can see from here that I have used a select branch option, obviously stipulating what it is that needs to be selected, as well as the employee from the employee file. Okay, we'll just drop that down again. So from the home page we can have a look at all the different queries using the drop down menu that I've got here. Query 1 is the names and telephone numbers of the managers from each office. Again, obviously the details are shown in my report, but as you can see here, it's giving you the information, and that continues through to query number 2 as well. Sorry about that, I'm just going to get rid of that moment. So query number 2 as well. The first table here, as you can see, is based on the Harborough, because we wanted all the female employees from that particular branch. So you've got only one female employee in the Market Harborough branch, whereas in the Corby branch we have 2. We go on to query 3. The total number of staff at each office. In my arbitrary data I only created 4 staff for each office, a manager, an admin staff and 2 further instructors. And as you can see from here, having used the SQL data query, the system has counted that there is 4 members of staff at each branch. Query number 5, you asked for the details on interviews given by a given instructor. I have based this query on a particular instructor, which is instructor 001. As you can see from this, they have conducted 3 interviews, and it includes all the details about each of the interviews, who they're for, as well as any notes that the instructor has made on these. So if we go to query number 6, query number 6 shows us the name and telephone number of staff who are instructors over the age of 55. Now this one became a little bit more tricky, because obviously to make it so that the instructors are not rounded, because if I rounded the ages off they went up. So for example, Charlotte Dion would be 56 rather than 55, although her birthday is at the end of the month. If we just have a look at the actual code, sorry, what query was that? That was query number 6. Okay, if we have a look at the actual code, query number 6, there you are. Okay. We've had to select all, but then I've had to do a nested select to be able to show the actual date of birth, because I've stored the age as an alias, and as the error showed me initially, is that each select system needs its own individual alias. So I've had to first of all nest it, so we've got the date difference here, and it takes the current date, the employee's date of birth, divides it by 365.2308, as that gives us a better inclusion of looking at leap years, etc. And then it's shown it as a decimal. By doing 5,2, it has shown the decimal quite accurately. So yeah, so I've got as age, and then the final, the main select, which is one that we're actually seeing, is selecting all of these where the age of the user is bigger than or equal to 55. Okay, right, let's go back to the screen again. Right, query number 7. Right, query number 7 wanted a list of registrations of the cars that had no faults found. As you can see on the first table, you have got that. All the cars in this table here has no faults found. Just to make it more usable as far as a database and a screen print goes, I've included the actual registered keeper of the car, which is the instructor this car is assigned to, and their contact number in case you need to contact them. And then I've also included a second table, which is the cars that have had faults, to show you that it does actually pick up the different data. Again, obviously showing you the registered keeper and their contact details. Okay, query number 8. Query number 8 shows us the clients who have passed the test in a particular month. I used December 2014 as obviously that's how I set up my arbitrary data. So what you can see here is the actual customer's ID number, their name, the date that they passed, and the current status of their license. I do apologise about this, I'm not really sure why that keeps coming up, but we'll just get rid of it, it's not a problem. Okay, query number 9. Query number 9 gives us the names of clients who have sat the driving test more than 3 times and have not yet passed. I have slightly changed this to being 3 or more times because in my arbitrary data the maximum number of times that I have anybody doing the test and failing is 3, and then the 4th one is their actual test booked in. But as you can see from this, we have managed to select the data as well as count the individual times this particular person has taken their test. Also shows the current status of their license. So this particular one is obviously covering what you asked for, which is not yet passed and how many times they have taken the actual test. And query number 10 is the average number of miles driven during a 1-hour lesson. Again, I've provided you with 2 tables showing you the data in slightly different ways. The first table shows you all of the miles that have been driven by all of the cars by all the instructors within the company. So we have 3,310 miles and there's a total of 151 lessons, which averages us out to 25 arbitrary miles per lesson. Now what I've done here to make it a little bit more user friendly is I have included the customer ID. So I've broke this down now to a specific instructor. And so you can see with a specific instructor he has had 2 lessons, 2 students. They have done a set amount of miles each, because you can see from that they've had less lessons, this one. However, their mileage that they've done is pretty similar, so we've got 24 and 24 point something, which is on par with the average miles per lesson. So it just makes it a little bit more user friendly if this was going to be an actual client's website and queries for an actual client to be looking at. Okay, moving on from that, what I've also done is I have created a diary system which shows us all the appointments that is happening within the school from today onwards. It's based on anything from now on. So, sorry. As you can see from there, this would change on a daily basis with any new appointments that have been booked or any appointments that have passed. Obviously will drop off the screen. So from this as well, we can also see it doesn't just include driving lessons, it includes practical tests and theory tests as well that are coming up, as well as the employee names that will be out of the office during the time of these appointments. Okay, and finally we have the secure site. Now I've given this a password, a username, which is 1242329 and a password of Molly, that's MOLLY. Okay, if we log in, logging it in stores a cookie on your system, which lasts about an hour. After an hour it logs you out. Again, adding a little bit more security to the system. Okay, in here we've got the CRUD screen, which shows you initially the database with all the lessons, because it's a lesson booking screen, all the lessons from today onwards in the diary. And in here we can add lessons. So if we add something, so if we say DL0153 just make that back into a capital, DL0153. We'll make it so that this particular client here is booking another lesson, so that's YT0002, YT0002, and he is with instructor EID 009. So let's enter that, EID 009. Okay, the last lesson was on the 6th of March, so if we book them in for the 20th of March, so 2015 03 20, that will do. And their lessons like to be at 1 o'clock, so if we put in the client wants to be there at 1 o'clock. Okay, select the checkbox for add and hit update database. As you can see now from this link at the bottom here, it is automatically entered that into the diary. Now if we remembered, now it's 20th of March at 1 o'clock. If we go into the diary system and view appointments, theoretically it should be here. There it is. Randy Jones is having a lesson at 1 o'clock on the 20th of March. Fantastic. Okay, now the modify and delete commands, although the actual code for it works, because I've tested that straight into the command window, for some reason at this stage it doesn't work on this system, but I shall show you what it should do. Theoretically what we should do is, if our little friend Randy wants to change who he's having as an instructor, so we change that to being 3. Theoretically what should happen at this stage is that that data should go through PHP and store within the system. You click modify and update. Now unfortunately it is not doing it, but as you can see from the var dump down here, it is finding the correct line. It's just that for some reason my PHP is not picking up my checkbox. Now the same happens with delete as well, so if we update that, hit update, you can see again it does find it, but it doesn't for whatever reason delete it. So I will show you the code for that, which is if we go into member. Okay, doesn't seem to have opened that one in advance, so there we go. Now for the add option, as you can see here, what I've got is I've got it actually doing isets, where it should be going to get the data from the form and placing it. The one for adding a new record works absolutely fine. The one for identifying the checkboxes works absolutely fine, but for some reason getting existing records does not. The make any modifications. Okay, so if modify is on, which it is when it's selected, what it should do is update the customer's details using all of the entered data that's already there, where the lesson ID is relevant. And that is the same system I'm using for the delete option. So if delete is on, you should delete the lesson from where the lesson ID equals the lesson ID in reference to the line that's been selected. And as we saw from the var dump, it does actually find the line, it's just not at this stage for whatever reason deleting it. Again, the updates process works as well, so the refresh process works, and I have no idea, can't figure it out right now as to why the modify and the delete options don't work. Again, here is the sections where they are inputted into the system, and here's my var dump options. Okay, let's drop that down. So yes, that's basically it. If we log out now, we automatically go back to our home screen. And obviously if you want to go back in, you need to log back in. That in a nutshell is the queries and the front-end system that I have made for this demonstration. Thank you very much for your time, and goodbye.